Hi, Holly.
Alex.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hey,
Okay? Hi, Holly.
here we are.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm so good.
Good, 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 good. Good to see you. And thank you very much for, gracing us with your presence on the Business Wealth and Mindset podcast. It's such a pleasure to host you. So,
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
no, it's really good that you could come and speak to us. You've got so much to share with us. A lot of stuff there that our listeners will be looking to sort of pick from what you have to share. So it should be really good, really good. How is your day so far? Because it's quite I guess quite early for you here, about 10 o'clock, isn't it? We
It is. It's 10 a.m., but I am an early bird, so this is like my midday.
Ah, I see. Okay. Good, good, good. Yeah, it's a bit five for us, so it's been quite a day. It's quite cold and snowy here, actually. It's been snowing quite a lot. It's probably the same where you are. It's quite cold this time of the year, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very cold. And I'm in Colorado.
Yeah.
And where are you, Alex?
We are in London. So,
Oh, you're in
yeah,
London. Yeah. Love
absolutely. So,
London.
our European audience are looking forward to hearing from you.
Yeah. Really cool. Yeah.
Which,
It's an exciting world that we're living in right now.
yeah, absolutely. It's very, very surreal, isn't it? It's unprecedented times, across
Indeed.
the globe, So it's really good. So yeah, thanks, Holly. So I thought we'll probably begin by if you could just take us through a bit of your journey, from the beginning, because a lot of our listeners tends to sort of appreciate to sort of understand the background of our guests and where they've come from on their journey in a way that to some extent they can relate to and see that if Holly has come from this particular journey and it's similar to them, probably gives them hope that maybe there is also hope for us to get
Yeah.
to the same. So yeah, take us from our humble beginnings and
Oh, thank
then we'll
you.
have to hear. Yeah,
Yes, yes. And there is hope. There is always hope. And,
yeah,
I feel like money can be such a sensitive and scary topic for people.
mm, yeah,
And my mission in life is to make that not so.
yeah.
My book is called Simple Wealth because money is simple.
It's simple. Mm-hmm.
But, my journey to creating personal wealth and financial independence for myself began because, well, really for two reasons. So I grew up in a family of real estate investors and entrepreneurs. And so we talked about money at the dinner table.
Yeah,
And I thought that was normal. So when
yeah,
I bought my first house, I was 25 years old and, I was single um, it was a pretty big house for one person. And so I immediately got a roommate and, I didn't charge her much for rent. We were having fun and, it was good for her and it was good for me. And I just thought, I looked around at all of my friends who were also in their early to mid 20s. And I said, why aren't more people doing this?
yeah.
And so when I really started to dig deeper into that, I learned it's because, we really don't teach financial education in school.
Yeah.
And we also don't teach employees and workers how to build personal wealth with their paycheck. And so I decided to, at the time, I was a member of an international service organization called Rotary International.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking for a way to get more involved. And I went to them and I said, hey, I have this idea. What if I go to local high schools and I teach young adults how to manage their money? What is a credit score? What actually is debt and how you can use it to your advantage? And they said, great idea. So I did it.
Brilliant.
And then it just it was a complete success. And I had parents and teachers wanting to sit in on this workshop. And I realized, oh, okay, everyone, not just young adults, like everyone wants to learn about money. And that's kind of where it all began.
That's brilliant. That's really good, because it is definitely, like you say, something that's not taught in school in the same way that people understands money. So it is quite a great subject for people to actually begin to understand, so that it can actually help them. So you've through that journey, you've come to write this book, Simple Wealth, and there's a lot of stuff, a lot of detail in there to actually take people through. So just talk us through some of the basics in that book, in the way that it can help people to start understanding their relationship with money.
Yeah, for sure. And it is a relationship. And even though at the time when I was young, I understood money and how it works, it doesn't mean that I was perfect. I always say, like, when it comes to money, there is no such thing as perfection, only doing your best, because at the end of the day, we're all human, and, we have fears, and we have, worthiness to take care of and to really dive deep into, and awareness. And, awareness is really where my journey began, because I found myself at, a few years later, after I had been teaching this workshop, at a point where I was living paycheck to paycheck. I was working 60 to 70 hours a week. I had an amazing job. And I wrote I really believe that the book came from this one experience. I had this moment of, we had these back-to-back snowstorms in Colorado. And at the time I was driving this front-wheel drive Honda Accord.
Yeah.
and after like the second snowstorm, it was still storming, and I called my boss, and my job was 40 miles away.
Wow.
And I said, you know what? I think it's going to be a risk. Like, I don't think I should go to work today. I really feel like I'm risking my life. And she said, well, if you don't come to work, you're fired. So, of course, because I was living paycheck to paycheck, if I didn't go to work, I wouldn't get paid. And this house of cards, like, it was a metaphorical house of cards that I was living in. I started to think forward. Oh, I won't be able to make my mortgage payment. I won't be able to make my car payment, and everything will, everyone thinks I'm so successful, but am I really successful? Like, I started to really dig into this.
Yeah.
And so, I made it to work that day. Thank goodness I made it home. And when I got home that night, I started to get really intentional and serious about my money. And I had been doing what I like to call mental accounting, where I had an idea of what was coming into my accounts and an idea of what was leaving my accounts every month, but I didn't really know where the dollars were going, et cetera. And so I got out all my credit card statements, and I discovered that I had $67,000 in credit card debt.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, it makes my heart beat faster just saying that. And so the next day I called my financial advisor because, as a good employee, I was, of course, contributing money to my retirement accounts. And, I always wanted to be personally wealthy. I just knew what I kind of picked up from society, that, this is what you do. You get a financial advisor and they help you build wealth. And so I called him up and I said, I'm in so much trouble. How do I get out of this mess that I've created for myself? And he asked me how much more money I wanted to invest. And I said, I don't have any money. And so that was like a light bulb moment for me. At that moment, I thought, okay, there has to be another way. And so I just committed my life and all of my free time to learning more about money and personal finance and debt elimination and freedom, because ultimately I just wanted to be free. at least to have a job where I could work 40 hours a week would be lovely. But, I had this dream of doing something that I loved and maybe working for myself one day. And so I had my eye kind of on that target. And so the more I learned, the more I was able to put that into practice in my life. And literally 3 years later, I was completely debt free.
Yeah.
And then after that, I had some money in the bank. And then in my 30s, I became financially independent. So to answer your question, what is the book about? It is about that simple system that I created to create personal wealth and financial independence for myself. And it's not just the strategy. Like I always say that building personal wealth is only 20% strategy and 80% psychological.
Yeah.
So in the book is, it's the frame that we put around money. It's our relationship with money. It's the daily choices that we're making, the way we think about money that really make the system so magical. And so, what are the personal practices that you're doing every day that create abundance in your life? What are the money habits that you're starting to adopt so that you are moving closer to wealth instead of further away from it? And that's the gist of the book right there.
Gist of the book. Brilliant. And it's interesting what you mentioned there about, a lot of us, we think, in our head that we know how much we are spending and what is happening. But when you actually sit and do the analysis and work out what is actually happening, you find that the picture is quite different. So, how can people, because a lot of people will relate to this and they want to know more about money, but in the scheme of what is happening in their life, maybe they've got busy days, they've got day job, and it's hand to mouth, they can't sit and have that moment to actually think about sorting out their life. Maybe until some challenge, maybe they lose a job or something in their life. So what would you say to those people? How can people come into this realization to actually make the conscious effort to learn about money whenever it's just going on and normal in their life?
Yeah, and two things really come to mind is there's so much value in steady income. Not everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. Not everyone wants to have a side hustle. Some people do, but it's so nice sometimes to just go to your job, do your job, and then come home at night and put your feet up or spend time with your family or go play. So, I really believe that whatever life it is that you want to live, the most important thing that you can do to live that life is to put that vision at the front and center of everything that you do. And for me, that process began with creating a personal life vision for myself, which is a reflection of how I want to live in the world and the kind of person that I want to be and what is truly important to me. And so it always comes down to values. And I didn't do this exercise until really 2012 when I started to evaluate my life. It's like we are taught to achieve, we're taught to be successful, but like, what is your version of success? Because the world's version of success doesn't really bring happiness, and more money doesn't necessarily bring happiness. I mean, it does up to a certain point. I mean, I think there was a Princeton study that was done a few years ago where they found that yes, money does make us happy, but only up to $75,000. And then beyond that, there's no additional happiness in our lives because our needs have been met. So what's on the other side of money? Like, what will personal wealth, what will financial independence bring you? And so I think just getting crystal clear, like for me, my core values are freedom, love, and authenticity. And so in everything I do, I'm always thinking about, how that plays a role in the way that I'm showing up, the way I'm treating other people, the way I'm treating myself. And so that's kind of the psychological component of it. It's about having an agenda for your life and not trying to fit yourself into this box of, I'm going to go to a job and sit at a desk for 40 hours a week. Like maybe you're creative. Maybe you work better at night. All of that is okay. And in this world that we're living in, you can find the opportunities that will feed your soul if you know what feeds your soul.
What feeds your soul? Absolutely. So it's about knowing yourself, isn't it? And the values and the things that are important to you. So with that in mind, then how would you answer essentially this myth that the money is the root of all evil, all money doesn't make you happy?
Well, here's the thing is like we're all human, like we're all on the same level, you know? And so what one person's perspective is could be very different than someone else's perspective. And as I was building my business, you know, especially in 2016. In 2016, I went through a divorce. I had been married for 10 years. And you know, that's a challenging thing to go through for anyone.
Yeah.
And, you know, I really think that I opened myself up quite a lot to other people's opinions because I wanted to do it right the next time around. Like I wanted to, you know, get it right. I wanted my business to be right. I wanted my relationships to be fulfilling. And so I received a lot of people's opinions. And what I realized is that I could be in a room with 5 of the smartest, most intelligent people in the world. And each one of them is going to have their own opinion on what I should or shouldn't do to be successful in business, to be happy in relationship. But none of those opinions really matter except for mine. And so, you know, is money the root of all evil? No way. Like money just magnifies what is inside of us.
Yeah.
And money is just a tool, you know, that's really all it is. And so it's neutral. Money will only take on the energy that we give it. It will only have the power that we give it. And so, you know, I'm a firm believer in the law of abundance. I believe that money is infinite. And I mean, if anything, if we've learned anything in the past, you know, year or so, it's that, you know, we can create more money. And so if there's something that you want, if you want more money in your life, it is there for you to have. It's just a matter of you being in tune with yourself and of course, developing your skills and of course, showing up because anything that's worth having in life takes hard work. But no, I mean, money is a beautiful thing and you can have as much of it as you want. That does not make you a bad person. The more money you make, the more money you can give.
You can give, absolutely. And it gives you so many choices, isn't it, of the things that you can do. It will make possible the things that are meaning to you and the ones that actually, you know, can serve your values and your passion and the things that you value more. So that's great insight, Holly. Thank you. So we're going to talk about health and wealth. But before we go into that, I wanted to, if you could take us through the 4 pillars. I was looking through your book and we talk about the 4 pillars of building wealth and money. So just talk us through those, please.
Yeah, for sure. I'd love to. Yes. You know, I think once you can like clearly grasp how to play the game of money, it just becomes so much easier. So I always say that there are 4 pillars of wealth and you practice them in a certain order because the value of your dollars, when you put them in the right bucket at the right time, can make a much bigger impact in your path to personal wealth and how soon you're able to become financially independent. And I define financial independence as the point when work becomes an option.
Yeah.
So, you know, pillar number 1, and if everyone just did this one thing, this one thing, everyone would be wealthy. So the first pillar is the most important one, and it is to maximize your cash flow.
Yeah.
And your cash flow is just the money in minus the money out on a regular basis. I like to use months because we usually get, you know, bills once a month. It doesn't mean that you get paid once a month. And I think that's where a lot of people just throw in the towel and forget money altogether and just say, I can't do it, it's too difficult. Because in reality, we are spending money and paying bills just about every single day.
Yeah.
And we're getting paid once a month, 3 times a month, sometimes twice a month. For some people, they're getting, for all the entrepreneurs out there, the side hustlers, et cetera, they're maybe getting paid once a year or once every couple of months. And so this whole concept of like budgeting, it's like, no, we don't need to think about it that way. Let's just create a framework of knowing how much money is coming in and how much money is going out on a regular basis. And then whatever the difference is, I call that number your impact factor. It's the money that you have left over every month or whatever the time period is that works for you that you can put to its highest and best use.
Yes. Yeah.
Which takes me to the next 3 pillars, and then we're done. And all the things you need to know about creating personal wealth. The highest and best use of your dollars is always going to be to pay yourself. So what is the first thing that you do with all of your extra money? Well, if you're young in these days, probably you have some debt, student loans, credit card debt, car loans, maybe you have a mortgage. The highest and best use of your dollars, and pillar number 2, is to eliminate your debt. And maybe you just focus on that high interest rate debt to begin with. And, you let your mortgage ride for a little bit because, that's okay. And then pillar number 2 is to save, or pillar number 3 is to save. And pillar number 4 is to create residual income. And residual income is the money that you're earning from your retirement contributions, your investment contributions. Maybe it's a house that's appreciating in value. Maybe it's a business that you start, a blog that you write, a YouTube. I mean, there are just so many ways to create residual income. So if you just focus in that order, maximize your cash flow, eliminate your debt, save, and create residual income, you got it.
Yeah. Brilliant.